Well, let's get underway then. So welcome to the second last of our Thoughts Over Coffee. It's been a really fabulous journey presenting these. So just sharing for 15 minutes, something a little bit inspirational for people. As I mentioned, to put it over the next, over this lockdown period, we've been doing as much as we possibly can to help people. And so these 15 minutes are just some thoughts to help inspire people and to give them a boost as they go through the day. So today, I finished off yesterday, I touched on mindfulness, and I just got a question around that. I talked about being able to be mindful as one of the key factors to be able to deal with all that's happening around us. And so I just wanted to expand a little bit on what mindfulness is. So mindfulness is the quality of being able to be present, in the present moment, not looking back, not looking forward, just being here. There's a great book by John Spencer, I think it is. John Spencer. It's called The Present, and it talks about how we give a gift and we call it a present, and yet the time we live in is the present that we have every single moment of every single day. And so mindfulness is around how do you make the most of the present moment that you're in. Key thing there being free from distraction or judgment. This is something I've tried for a long time, and it's something that the more you do it, the better you get at it. I'm still very, very much in the fledgling stages of it. I find I have a very distractible mind. And yet the moments where I can get totally present, I do find that it makes it's very empowering within oneself. When I looked up a definition, it said mindfulness is the ability to be fully present in the moment. It can have numerous benefits, everything from decreased stress to increased levels of focus and happiness, according to general mindfulness research. If it is a topic you want to cover off a little bit more, there are a couple of books. The two books I've read on it are Search Inside Yourself, which is quite humorously written, and The Power of Now, which was written many, many years ago, before mindfulness was even a thing. So both of those are good books. If you go and search mindfulness books, they're just screeds of them. There's also websites and apps. Probably the most famous website and app out there. Once again, there are dozens of them, but Headspace is one that has got a lot of recognition around it. And if it is something you want to have a look at a bit more, in New Zealand, there's a company called Mindfulness Works. Kerry and I did a course with them. And what I discovered is that my learning style, I'm a visual audio learner or an audio visual learner, and I really struggled and still do to learn mindfulness, because it's not something you can read and apply. It's something you've got to practice to apply. It's a bit like you can't go read how to play a guitar and then go play. You actually have to do it. And so what I discovered through mindfulness is that I'm not a very good experiential learner, which is quite ironic because that's the way I love to train. But mindfulness is something that I encourage people to pursue, and certainly something that I'm still, as I said, very much looking to do better at. I did find doing the course was helpful, and still, once again, something I'm working on. So something I certainly do encourage you, if you've never done it before, now something you've never looked at, definitely worth doing in that space. Now, sort of just looking towards, as I mentioned, finishing these and realizing that for many of you, you've been with us for the month, and I really do appreciate that. It's wonderful to know that we can share stuff that makes a difference. And one of the things I very first started off with was having vision. And around the whole idea of vision is that vision motivates. And so just wanting to remind people, do you have a vision for yourself? You know, if somebody wants to come and ask you about a vision for your life, what words would you share back with them? How would you share it? One of the earliest stories I ever remember around this, and I was told it as part of a teamwork session that we were doing, is about a person who went to interview some builders on a building site. And he said to the first one, what are you doing? And the guy said, well, I'm laying bricks. So he wandered across to the second one and said, oh, so what are you doing? And the guy said, oh, I'm building a wall. And then he wandered across to the third, and the guy said, I'm building a cathedral. Now, in terms of motivation, in terms of drive, which of those do you think are going to have the most motivation, have the most drive, have the most get up and go? It's obviously the person who realizes that what they're doing is towards something that is bigger, bigger than just the present moment. You can be in the present moment, making the most of it, realizing that it's going to have longer term impacts and effects on your life. So really do encourage you to please make sure, if you haven't got a vision for your life, to please do work on that. And as we wrap up these, I thought, well, how can I share what I've done, some of the stuff I've done that has helped put me on the course that I'm on? Because I'm very blessed and fortunate that I get to bounce out of bed every morning and I love my life, which is just fabulous. And people often say to me, how are you? And I go, oh, I'm exceptionally well. And I've had people get quite irritated with that. They go, well, you can't be exceptionally well all of the time. And if you're always exceptionally well, then that's not exceptional. And the reality is I do actually have an incredible enjoyment every day with the life that I lead and live. And a large part of it comes down to mindset and practicing, I suppose, what I preach on as many levels as I possibly can, with being careful of what I input into myself. And I wanted to share a little bit more around that. Like, what are you inputting into yourself? What are you inputting into your team? How do you share as a business owner? What you're feeding, if you like, your team. Remember, I talked a lot about having the little voices in your head. And so when you start to think about this, realize that people need purpose. People need to know that they matter and that what they do makes a positive difference. And are you affirming that every day? Does your team, do you personally, and does your team know at the end of the day, yes, I won today? And for many companies and for many people, that's a challenge. How do you get to the end of the day and go, yes, I won? And being satisfied with what winning looks like. Because for some people, winning might be doing what you've always done. And you kind of get to the end of the day and go, well, I always do that. And you can discredit it. Whereas the reality is that if you've managed to achieve what you set out for the day, then you're a success and allowing yourself to be successful. So what's going into your mind? What are you inputting into yourself? So a quick question for you. So we've got a little chat box, and I thought today I'd ask you to actually jump in and put some thoughts and comments into the chat box. How do you stay motivated? What inspires you? What keeps you moving forward? What gets you bouncing out of bed in the morning? So what sort of things have you got? Be really interested if you wanted to share, if you felt comfortable sharing in the chat box. How do you stay motivated? How do you get inspired? And how do you keep moving forward? Keep putting that next step forward. If you want to just jump onto the chat box, I thought, I'd just ask a question and just see what people have got out there, and then I'll share some of the stuff that I personally use, some of the methods I use. So if you are comfortable, just putting some thoughts in the chat box. Now this is the point where I've got to pause and wait for people to actually type. As Kerry constantly pulls my legs, patience is not one of my greatest virtues. I'm sort of like, oh, nobody's chatted. Okay, and then of course you start seeing the chat box flash. But any ideas around? There we go. Got a couple of people coming in. Yes, motivation comes and goes. I really like that. Okay, and please understand this. What's it? Somebody said motivation is like a bit like having a bath. It's something you've got to do every day. It's not just this constant thing. And so thank you for sharing that, because for me one of the key things is how do we keep it coming? Knowing that it can come and go, what's our go-to? I love the clear task list. It's one of the most common things. Knowing what I've got to get done today, having a task list, and setting that the night before can really help as well. Good company, Heather, absolutely love that. Try and stay out of negative energy vampires. Definitely like that one. I saw something that quite radically changed my life. It said, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I remember looking around at my 5 closest friends thinking, I think I'm going to need to change company. And it definitely made a big difference for me. They remained my friends, but they weren't the people I spent the most time with. And get out and go for a long walk. We'll talk more about that shortly, because that's a fabulous thing. Achieving things, definitely. Love the idea around achieving. Think about what I'm grateful for. That's something, a message I hope I've got across in all of these thoughts over coffee that I've been doing, is an attitude of gratitude is just so good. I love the idea about doing it before you get out of bed. That's marvelous. Conversations with people, the difference that they're making. So inspiring things, I like that. And my wife says, I start walking slow and slow. I'm just thinking, I like that. Family, great, excellent, good. Excel spreadsheets to keep goals and keeping it updated. I love all of those. Those are really inspiring. So for me, what are some of the things that I do to keep motivated? How do I keep my energy levels up? So I've asked you what you do. Here are some of my go-tos. My number one thing is my faith. I've mentioned this yesterday, but it definitely is my absolute. It's taken me through my highs and my lows, and it is my bedrock. It's my foundation. And for me, that if I had to pick one thing, that would be my absolute go-to. And the other thing, one of the things that radically changed my life, I was chatting to somebody yesterday, and we were talking about the one thing that has had the single biggest impact on your business career. And for me, it was hearing somebody say that you could turn your car into a university on wheels. You could listen while you drive. And for me, I use Audible as my go-to. And my goal, as I've mentioned beforehand, was to read a book a week. I read that most people only read one non-fiction book a year. And what I found is that if I read 50 books a year, I'd be 50 times ahead of the average person. And so for me, I use Audible. I screenshot it. So these are just screenshots of the books that I've bought this year so far. So this is just some of the library I've got on my Audible account. And I do find it keeps me going. It keeps me fresh. It keeps the ideas there. It challenges my mindset. You hear stuff and you go, oh, come on, I didn't think about it that way. And so it really does make a big difference. Another thing I love to do is watch inspirational video clips. So Goldcast is one I've mentioned beforehand. Now, they do a lot of other stuff. I prefer to watch their clips, and they do very good video clips. They're generally 3 to 5 minutes long, so nice and short and easy to watch, about the same length as our learning bites. And of course, TED Talks I talk about a lot. And my goal over this lockdown has been to watch a TED Talk a day. I haven't quite achieved that, but I have watched a lot more than I have in recent times, and definitely worth doing. If you've never been onto TED, please do yourself a favor, go on there. It definitely can be a life-changing thing, just watching some of those talks. You can choose by talk, subject, length, everything. It's just incredible. Another thing is, I used to be, but I'm not anymore, a very big movie watcher. I generally don't have time for that. But when I do watch movies, I like to watch inspiring and motivating movies. So for me, those will be my go-to movies, is ones that inspire me and where people make a difference. Some of my favorite ones are Fireproof, Facing the Giants. I just took a screenshot of movies, and a lot of these I've watched. Certainly these two here were absolutely amazing. Soul Surfer, some of you would have seen that. Obviously, Chariots of Fire, a classic one. These over here, I typed in motivational movies, and I was quite amazed at how many of these I've actually seen. So I think I've seen pretty much all of those, bar that one over there. I was like, oh, I've seen most of those. It just shows you how easy it is to find stuff that makes a difference. Here's some other ones. I haven't seen all of those, but what are you putting into yourself? When you've got downtime, are you putting good stuff in? And what are you reading? What books are you reading? What are you listening to? We talked about exercise, and I've mentioned beforehand that our boy Nate he's up in the Mount, and he's got a brand called Nate Garden Fitness, and obviously he's not able to work in a gym with the lockdown that we're in at the moment. So he hops on at 1 o'clock every day and puts us through 15 minutes of exercise. It definitely gets the heart rate up and going. But no, there's a healthy body, healthy mind. You talk about going for walks, stuff like that, really does make a difference. And a key thing, and I want to finish with this one over here, is around breathing. Now, that might seem like a silly thing to finish off on, but particularly Western society is very guilty of what we call shallow breathing. If I was to overdo it, you sort of go, you breathe in and you only fill up the top third of your lungs. And what that does is that it makes you anxious. So you're breathing, your brain goes, when I breathe like that, that must mean something's wrong. And your brain goes into high alert. And you can actually put yourself into that state where you're constantly feeling angst. And deep breathing really helps to slow that down. I jumped up, once again, jump online around breathing techniques. The first time I ever came across this, by the way, was when I was going through Tony Robbins' series on, he had that 40 days series that he put out, quite a life-changing series of, well, in those days it was cassettes that I used to listen to in my car. But I went on to WebMD. They had some very good ones, and they just reiterated how most people take very short, shallow breaths. Okay, not only does it make you anxious, but can actually remove energy because you don't have oxygen, and your body needs oxygen. And so they've got some techniques in there. Breathe in through your nose, let your belly fill with air. This is one of the big things: is if you breathe deep enough, your belly should move. And talk about putting your hand on your belly and one on your chest. And your belly hand should be the one that's rising and falling, not the hand on your chest. Okay? And taking 3 to 5 deep breaths, just doing that a couple of times through the day can actually slow everything right down and make you feel a lot calmer and more at peace. So if you wanted, the website there is just webmd.com. And if you just put in breathing, that comes up straight away. Guys, I hope that that's helped. Tomorrow, what I thought we might do tomorrow, when you jump on, is I would love your thoughts, your ideas, and I have some questions for you just to prompt that. It's really great seeing some of the stuff that you guys came up with around the motivation, setting goals and stuff like that. Really, really inspiring. Do look forward to catching up with you tomorrow. As always, please, we've got our last talk tomorrow with this. We ran the Advantage for Speed this morning. If you did miss that, just let us know. We will be uploading the recording of that. We're going to be doing, we're going to continue to do our learning bites every week, and we continue to post stuff up online. So if we can help in any way, do reach out via email or jump onto our website. We very much look forward to serving you and doing all that we possibly can to help. So have an absolutely fabulous day today. Really do look forward to catching up with you tomorrow. And it'll be our last one, so we'll go out with a big hurrah. Have a fabulous day all. Cheers then.